Hello everyone, how are you all? I hope you're all doing great. So, today let's study a poem. A poem which some of you might be familiar with, which some of you might have heard about, which some of you might have learned already. Anyways, we can explore the poem together today. Alright? So, the poem Seven Ages of Man, written by the famous William Shakespeare, which is in your Unit 1 of Bones of Life, prescribed in the SCRT textbook. So, the Seven Ages of Man, or simply Seven Ages of Man, is a poem that takes us through a journey of life, a journey of human life cycle, which begins from infanthood to old age, which take us as a baby in a cradle to an old man or an old woman waiting for death or for into a grave. So cradle to grave is what our lifespan is, right? One day we will live or we will have our birth, and the at some point we will all die. So it's the reality, right? It's the life truth. So in the poem Seven Ages of Man, Shakespeare, in a very very exaggerating, not that exaggerating, but in a detailed way, he is explaining the seven ages of man. Even though he has written this poem before he was an old man or before he was entering to his 50s, right? But still, he was aware of this cycle, how visionary it is, right? So, let's explore the poem. The seven ages of man. So, in the first PPT itself, we can see a picture with the seven ages being displayed, and there is this quotation given in the top: all the world is a stage and all the men and women merely players. So that statement is very catchy, right? That quote is very catchy. So I think some of you might have heard this quotation from somewhere. Like if you are a literature lover, surely you might be familiar with this quoting: all the world is a stage and all the men and women merely players. So here Shakespeare is comparing to our life or to our world as just a stage where men and women performs, or we are just a mere players or performers in this world of stage, right? So the first stage is about infants, the infant stage where the child is mewling and puking. Mewling means crying and puking means vomiting. And the second stage is about the schoolboy who is creeping unwillingly. So the schoolboy is unwilling to go to school and is making the tantrums not to go to school. And the third is the lover, sighing like a furnace. So the lover is in grief. He's in grief of not seeing his lover, of because he's missing his lover. So it is the third age or the third stage of man, according to Shakespeare. And the fourth age is the soldier who is jealous in honor. So in the fourth age, the soldier is being jealous and he's so pride and he is blinded by jealousy in order to have honor. And the fifth stage is the justice, which is full of wise souls. Sixth age comes the pantaloon, where lean and slippered. So it is entering into this oldish, childish stage. And the seventh is the second childishness. Second childishness, where sans teeth, sans everything. There is no teeth, there is no bone. All you are is just a human being who is waiting for your death. Very interesting, right? So this poem appears in Shakespeare's famous play As You Like It in the Act 2 of the scene 7. So, As You Like It is a, as we all know, William Shakespeare is a famous dramatist who has almost covered multiple genres of history, romance, tragedy, right? So, As You Like It is one of the comedy genres drama of William Shakespeare, and in there we can see a beautiful romantic love story of uh, Orlando and I forgot the other name. Jeremaid. Yeah, Jeremaid is the disguise name in disguise. Rosalind. Yeah, Rosalind and Orlando's love story, and the comedies that happens in their courteous, not in courteous life, but yeah, it's like Rosalind is being banished by her uncle from the kingdom, and she, in disguise as Jeremiah, lives in the forest and fell in love with Orlando, and they returns back, and that's the overall plot of As You Like It. But it's an interesting comedy, and I hope you guys will read this. So let's get into the chapter. The 7 ages of man is again being given in the PPT. So, as we have already discussed, the infant is the first age, second is the schoolboy, third is the lover, fourth the soldier, fifth the justice, sixth the pantaloon, and seventh second childishness. Okay, now let's jump. Let's see, or let's have a brief discussion about William Shakespeare. So I'll show you some books. I'm a literature student. I was a literature student, and now I'm currently doing my BA. And let me show you some of my collections. So this is the Tempest, the play Tempest by William Shakespeare. This is Hamlet by William Shakespeare, and this is King Lear. Yeah, it's a bit torn, as I've been using this for the past few years, like it was being there for my degrees. Okay, so let's see about William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare was born in Stratford upon Avon in the year 1564, and he died in the year 1616. He was an English playwright, poet, and actor. He is widely regarded as the greatest writer in the English language and the world's preeminent dramatist. He is often called England's national poet and the Bard of Avon. Avon is the place where he was born, where William Shakespeare was born. And yeah, so he's often called as the England's national poet, and he's a playwright, he's a poet, he's an actor. How great, right? Okay, so that's a short introduction about William Shakespeare. Now let's get into the poem, The 7 Ages of Man by William Shakespeare. All the world is a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first, the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms, and then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like a snail unwilling to school, and then the lover, sighing like a furnace, with a woeful ballad made to his mistress' eyebrow, then a soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation even in the cannon's mouth, and then the justice, in fair round belly with good cap and lined, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances, and so he plays his part. The 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful horse well saved, a world too wide for his strong shank, and his big manly voice turning again toward childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all that ends the strange eventful history is second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans days, sans everything. So this is the whole poem that I've read. Now let's see stanza wise. Okay. All the world is a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exist and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. So we have already seen this line, right? All the world is a stage, and all the men and women merely players or performers in this world of stage. They have their exits and their entrances. So here exits and entrances, what does it imply? It's the birth and death, right? We all live, or we all take birth, and we all die, right? Like an entrance into the world, and again exit without any trace, right? And one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. So we all do have an entrance and an exit, and we all play many multiple roles in this life. We are all players, or we are all performers, and we all have multiple roles in our life. And William Shakespeare is here saying that we have 7 ages, or we play 7 roles in this life. And the first is the infant. At first, the infant mewling and puking in the nurse's arms, and then the whining schoolboy with his sachet and shining morning face, creeping like snail, unwillingly to school. So the first is the infant stage, where mewling and puking in the nurse's arms. Mewling means crying, and puking means vomiting. So babies do cry and puke sometimes, right? Not sometimes, it's all the time, right? When they are hungry, they will cry, and after having their food, they will vomit. So it all happens in the nurse's arms. Nurse here means the one who takes care of the baby. So the first stage is the infant stage, where the baby is crying and vomiting constantly. And the second stage is the whining schoolboy. Whining means crying or complaining schoolboy. This boy is complaining for what? For going to school. He sees going to school as a punishment, as some punishment given by his parents or elders for causing trouble, right? So the second stage is of the schoolboy who is unwilling to go to school. Alright, so the third is the lover. And then the lover, sighing like furnace with a woeful ballad made to his mistress' eyebrows. So the lover is actually in trouble, is actually in sorrow, because his mistress is not impressed. His mistress is actually very worried or being sad about this lover, because he might not have met his, I don't know, he might not have met the his part, I don't know. Yeah, anyways, the lover is quite sad, and he's sighing like a furnace. Sighing means like we do this, right? Like when we are tired, or we are like when we are sorrowful, and when we are like not having any we don't have any motivation to do something, we will all sigh, right? Like we'll all do, oh, I can't do this, oh, I'm all tired, like that. So it's what his sighing is. So the lover is sighing like a furnace. Furnace is just a boiler or a chimney with a woeful ballad. Woeful ballad means woeful is something that is sorrowful, that is sad. So the lover is so sad, and he's singing a song for his sorrow, that for his mistress or for his love. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation even in the cannon's mouth. So the soldier is all full of pride, and he's taking strange oaths. Oaths are like we say, we all take oaths, right? I will not do this thing in this year. We all do take uh, year New Year resolutions, right? So oath is something that is like a New Year resolution, that we will take so many strange New Year resolutions, but some might be like some strange New Year resolutions we will meet, but others will be like that strange thing itself, right? So the strange oaths that the soldier takes, and he's so jealous in his honor, in his pride, and he's always in a, in a mind of quarrel, and he's always suddenly reacts even when there is no even when there is nothing severe happening. So soldier is always in his blood, in his furious blood, and who's always ready to quickly react or to make quarrel. So seeking the bubble reputation. Bubble reputation means a short-lived fame or a reputation. So even for a bubble reputation, even for a small recognition, the soldier is willing to make a quarrel. What's that, right? Okay, and then the justice, in fair round belly, with good cape and lined, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise souls and modern instances. And so he plays his part. So the justice, as from the word itself we can see a man who makes peace, the man who serves justice, right? So here we can see a character sketch of the justice, that he has a round belly. Belly means the stomach area, right? So the round belly with eyes severe and beard of formal cut. So a very formal cutted beard, not that you know, the normal one, but the formal, very formal, not that informal one, but the formal beards that has been trimmed in shape, and that has been cut in shape, full of wise souls. Wise souls means advices. So the justice is in continuous, full of wise advices and giving modern instances, and he's giving with examples. He's giving advice with examples about the contemporary, about the modern scenarios, and so he plays his part, and he's serving his part as an advisor, as the man of justice. And comes the sixth age. The sixth age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful horse well sawed, a world too wide for his shrunk shank, and his big manly voice turning again towards childish treble pipes and whistles in his sound. So the sixth age is of the slippered pantaloon, a man who has just entered his old age, and his manly voice have all gone, and his voice is trembling, his voice is like, fading. It's slowly becoming like a low pitched sound, like that of a child, and he can't even see clearly. He has a spectacle on his nose, and he has a pouch on his side, and all his youth has gone, all his youth has left already. And the last scene, the seventh age is coming, is approaching. Last scene of all, that ends the strange eventful history, is second childishness and mere oblivion, sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything. So the last scene of every life stage is the second childishness. Do you guys agree with that? I do, because we all do become childish, super childish when we are all old, right? So if you have your grandparents, if you have observed your grandparents, you can see that at, as they are nearing to old age, they depend too much on us, right? They can't even walk by themselves, they can't even stand up by themselves. Sometimes they need a help, or mostly they need help by their side, right? So that is more about second childishness. When we are child, we are like a parasites who depends on our parents, who for everything, for food, for for taking bath, for going out somewhere. We depend on our parents, right? So as we approach to our old age, we again depend on others. We can't do anything because we don't have teeth, sans teeth, without teeth, without eyes, without taste, without everything. So at the end, only us or only we just exist as a child, as an infant who is waiting for death. So that's all about the 7 ages of man. I hope you all enjoyed the class. So I hope you all have understood the poem. So please do comment if there is any doubts, or if you have more, if you want more resources. Okay, and now I'm gonna wind up the class. Thank you and have a nice day.